Okay, let's see how the temperature is here.
Llyn, is it true you grew up on an Indian reservation?
On an Indian reservation?
In Yakima?
Well, there's an Indian reservation there, but I wasn't on the reservation.
You weren't?
No.
You lived near it?
I lived near it, right.
Yeah.
But it used to fascinate me.
Yeah?
I wanted to stop somewhere.
So you were fascinated with the Indians in Yakima?
It was just a given. It was just taken for granted. But they were always drunk in Yakima, at night. They were with their blankets, Indian blankets over them. And I remember driving out to Toppenish, which is White Swan, which used to be for maybe just 2 years a kind of a fort when they had the Indian reservation there, and in the back is Mount Adams. And it's about 12,000 feet, and it's a little lower than Mount Rainier, but it's one of the big mountains there, which was originally called Mount Klickitat. And all of Washington State has more Indian names for their cities and all their big cities than any other state in the United States.
So you never visited the reservation?
Well, yeah, you had to go through it because that was in there to get to Mount Adams, and we're in the reservation at Mount Adams, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm driving with this friend, and he's like, we're about 15 or 16 or something, and driving up there, and you come and here's the Mount Adams. All these people were living in teepees up there.
Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was like I saw the last of something, And then I remember there wasn't anybody around. Of course, we were really, stupid. You do a lot of stupid things then, Let's look inside the tent,
So
and there was a refrigerator in there. But what I mean is,
there was a refrigerator in the teepee.
Yeah, right.
Is that where you get the ideas for things like the painting The Last Frontier?
That's all a part of it. I mean, those memories and and it's not that interesting.
I'm trying to give a well-rounded thing. I'm trying to give a well-rounded thing.
Fucking history thing. You don't realize how much fucking history thing has been going on around me? I can't believe it. It's like all of a sudden I got a retrospective show, and you're going through all this history trying to find things back there when people who have died and their kids got them and whatever, and like this, and who had all the records, and some of those people are gone and all this, and I just got a computer, and with Allie there, I spent so much time going back and forth and images and all this shit, like trying to find things, and going through your past. Constantly you're talking about your past over and over and over and over and over and over again. I wasn't here to tell my life story, and it was kind of like, if I wanted to do that, I would do it myself. But they're doing it in another way, which is by the products that you've made, in a sense. It's a different thing.
Do you feel it's an accurate biography?
It just depends on how far you want to go into somebody's psyche. If I were going to let people go into their psyche, I would do it in performance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm already starting to do that. I'm starting to feel it now, even lately. This comes on where it'll just be automatic, where I can flow in from one thing into the other, because I've had all these songs, I've had all these things. Once wanted to do a whole LA, musical and all that stuff with all the songs that I had, and now they seem to be taking their own form. That's what I want to get into, which is also being more right there. Was I going to play Smoke Size Cigarette? I don't know. I just know I can do it here. The music is because that's it. All I'm doing is living out this childhood dream.
What was your childhood dream?
What childhood dream? I mean, to be a great artist, like Salvador Dali.
Do you think
to be a great musician? And that started with Spike Jones, but then it became a great musician like a band like Stan Kenton, or because contemporary jazz was just coming into, like this. This is just before, and that stopped people from dancing.
Stan Kenton stopped people from dancing?
Well, he's one of the people that did.
Because you wanted to sit there and listen to it.
Exactly. It wasn't like there weren't danceable things in it, but there was more like, it wasn't danceable like the big band things. Certainly not later on. Not when he really started going. You know, so and
is that what you want people to do?
And then the bebop and all that stuff, and things that people couldn't think about dancing to, so you got rock and roll coming in.
Yeah, you don't want people dancing to your music performances? You want them to contemplate?
No, I do. I want them to feel the movement of what I'm doing. That's extremely important to me. Every little thing that I'm doing on my machine, whether it be my bass and my kick drum in my heels or the organ pipe in my right hand and my left hand, they all have to make an independent thing that's reacting to the other thing. And that starts to get, and you start to get to a point where you can really feel that, and you know it's moving, and you can feel the whole music, and when you listen to it back, it's like, but it's being in that state that you're at one with it.
At one with the music? Or the performance? Or both?
At one with the playing of the machine. Well, of course, smoking, I suppose, is not good for you. I mean, a lot could happen, you know. And you could say, well, it depends on how much you smoke or how much you breathe in secondhand smoke or what. A lot depends on the person, you know. Now you're gonna make me want to fucking quit just because you fucking God damn it. Yeah. Yeah. That's the first time. When I first moved to the brewery, when I first started to play here like that, I couldn't be at one with the audience, really at that time, you know, totally, because I didn't know, I wasn't, I mean, I could to a certain degree, you know, like that, but, and then when I got on the stage, it even got in a different way, you know, it's like...
Did you kick the audience out?
Yeah. You're right, it's true, in a certain sense. And that's helpful. I want the audience there and like that, but I want to be able to just, it's the thing is when you have an audience there, is this a party? Get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's another whole thing, see? Otherwise it's just Llyn Foulkes, you're doing a serious performance here and everybody was, you know, and only laugh when you were supposed to laugh, you know?
So you wanted to, basically you're getting as much from the audience as they're getting from you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feed off that? Does it make for a better performance?
I like it. I like it. Even when somebody gets up and starts to sing or something, you know, like that, if I can play along with it, as long as it doesn't get out of hand in another way. Well, there's a band down on our street. Oh, they play that stuff, such a beat. Where you cannot control your feet. When you hear the rubber band play. Every morning when you wake. At Barney's Beanery,
as I've been told, there was a sign that said "No fags allowed." Do you recall this sign?
Yeah, that was a very well-known sign there.
Was it, now what happened? I mean, what brought that on?
Because he didn't like fags. That went on for years. And after a while, it wasn't that gay people didn't go in there. You know, it just became a thing. But you got to remember another thing too. That's not a zinger, because I was a kind of artist, and Barney Beanery was there, but I wasn't a bar person. I didn't go around and hang around with the people there. So the first time that I think I was in Barney's maybe twice.
That was supposed to be the center of the art scene, according to
I was in there maybe 3 times. I don't know. And the last time I was with a rock band, when I started with a rock band in '65, and they were all drinking beer and I was 10 years older than all of them, and I was the only one they asked an ID for.
Original Ferus Gallery, they ended up calling a lot of those artists the cool school. Why weren't you in the cool? Why weren't you one of the cool school members?
I was in the Art Forum magazine.
When? Oh, really?
That would have been Art Forum 19. Let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to think, because I was one of the cool school on the thing. I remember the double image rock painting. Big ones. But if you look up Art Forum, Cool School 19, you'll see the article and then the...
So I mean...
Well, because I just think there was a certain period of time that they thought, because of what was happening with me, and it wasn't because of Ferus, it was because of Rolf Nelson Gallery afterwards. Rolf Nelson Gallery had, oh my God, you know, we had... Yeah, they always talk about the Ferus Gallery, but at the same time, you know...
How long were you with the Rolf Nelson Gallery?
Let's see, I think it started in '63. I had the first show in '63. And the other artists in there, I mean, Judy Chicago was in there. She was Judy Gerwitz before that. In fact, Rolf is the one who actually convinced her to be Judy Chicago.
Huh.
She was from... But they never say that, you know? And George Herms was in there, and Joe Good, and they had Jess in there, and they had, you know, it was, I can't even remember. Ron Davis, I think, had his...
So
yeah.
Why do you think that in art history, when they talk about LA in the 60s, you know, there's a bunch of galleries, and a lot of them interesting, and a lot of them showing, you know, pretty amazing, at the time, modern, contemporary art, but,
right.
You know, even cutting-edge stuff, and yet the history books consistently only refer to the Ferus Gallery. Why do you think it's been honed down that way?
They kind of made their own history. I mean, if you think about it at the time, and you think that what was going on in Los Angeles, you know, and you had other galleries, Lanyon Gallery, you know. I see the other artists, and I can almost remember some of them. They've just kind of faded out, you know. Even Vocus is fading out, and all that stuff, you know. And it's like, well, you know, you want to say well, time marches on, you know, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, what is it that made this person special and that person special? Well, it's also the fact that when Art Forum was in San Francisco there, they wrote a lot on the San Francisco painters, and that's how you got your Bay Area painters and people like Demoncorn and all that stuff, right? Then they moved down to Los Angeles, right?
Uh-huh.
And where were they?
Where were they?
On the top of Ferus Gallery. It's very complicated. Everybody's self-serving in some way or another, but they were the ones that were really promoting themselves. Those other galleries weren't promoting themselves like this, and didn't have those kind of connections like that. So it all became institutionalized as far as art criticism goes now. And then you had Dennis Hopper there at the time, and you know, Walter left to become curator at the Pasadena Art Museum. Kienholz had left, you know, and Irving Blum was really running the Ferus Gallery right then.
Uh-huh.
And Irving is the one who brought in all these New York people, you know. That's what made Ferus. You got Warhol, you got all these people like this, you know. I mean, it's like, okay, that sort of made, because all of a sudden it brought that over there. So then that gallery became really big because they were the ones that were showing. Not that there weren't others. You had Dwan Gallery. They were always showing, you know, like Mark de Souvero and other artists like that. But it was always the Ferus Gallery now. Because I remember that after I left Ferus Gallery and through the 60s and up to the 70s, nobody ever talked about Ferus Gallery.
Really?
Yeah, it was like I wasn't even in it, you know. And then it wasn't until all of a sudden it started to get out a little more at the end, and things started to happen with me again. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, he had a show at Ferus Gallery, and I see reviews start the same way. He had his first show at Ferus Gallery. So, you know, 9 months before Warhol had his show there, you know, and so I was right there, and I saw the whole thing happen, you know, and it was like.
But at the time, it wasn't that big a deal.
Oh, no. Hey, look at, man, as far as I walked in and I saw Warhol show. It just shows how much we've also been brainwashed, too. I remember the Campbell soups, they were all, just like you see them like that, and you know, two shells, I believe, something like this. And I remember I walked in to see the show, right? And I walked in and I looked at them, and I thought, okay. My first thought was, anybody could have painted those. That's my first thought. It wasn't anything extraordinary about the painting or about anything like that, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then you get kind of a chuckle. Oh yeah, it's like you lined up like in a grocery store, commercial thing. And then you get the art people. And the art people. And the artists. People that I just, wow. I went into the store and I saw these. It looked just like an Andy Warhol. When I see the things in advertising, they're like that, and there's so much of it in the bright lights on television now like that. Well, you see that because it was all advertising, but it's still all advertising art. That's the way I feel it.
You think there's just it's a very small portion of what art can be?
There's nothing negative said about it. The whole commercial advertising, I was talking to you before, how it brainwashes people into thinking things, and they don't care about the results. Whatever money that you're going to make, if that skin cream makes your skin look like it's just like a baby's butt, you know, and you're going to make these other people think that. Hey, look at that. They take advantage of old people now, man. They really do, you know. Old people aren't worth it. I think we should. No, they're not worth it.
Do you think?
No, you got to get rid of them or
do you think
sooner.
Do you think the art world takes advantage of older artists, or just ignores them?
Takes advantage. Well, what do you mean take advantage of?
Well, like, I mean, are people trying to get one over on you? Like, they think, oh, you're old, we got to get it all now?
It's hard to know whether people are liking it because they really like their work or because, hey, this is going to be successful. I remember Raven, my friend Topanga, when I'm talking about all that stuff, and she said, well, you know, it's the whole package. And I thought, yeah. I says, I guess you're right.
If you were a homeless guy standing out in front of the museum, would they throw $1 into your hat?
Probably not. I see more people around here.
Around where?
In East LA here. I see more people around here putting money in the person's hat than I do, you know.
At the
with
than you do like on the west side?
Yeah.
Or out in front of MOCA?
Yeah, or probably out in front of MOCA.
Yeah.
Right, I know. When it comes down to that, I guess that's what's going to happen. I'll just have my flexiphone and I'll be standing on the corner with a...
With the little hat in front of you?
I could do that. I could do it all ragged up. In fact, if I got all ragged up like this and I act like as a homeless person and he's there playing his flexiphone.
Hey.
Nobody's seen that before. They don't know unless they knew about me, and the regular world doesn't, you know. I feel like I'm crippled. I feel like I'm trying to play something on something that nobody's played it on before or something. So you feel like I got to make up. So I never know whether I'm always right or quite right, you know, or how it's actually supposed to be and this or that, you know.
You curated a big show at Leica, right?
Yeah, that was like...
like 1978?
77, I believe.
Yeah, and what was the show?
I just thought at that particular time that everything was becoming minimal, and there wasn't a lot of humanity in the paintings, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I just decided I would. Well, I didn't decide. Bob Smith from the old Leica asked me if I wanted to curate a show. So okay, and then I got involved with this Corinne Colvin, who was a student at UCLA, and I started going around seeing different people's. I wasn't going around. I always just locked myself in my studio. I didn't go around very much, even in the early '60s when something had to really move me to get me to go. I remember being in the Rauschenberg, had something at Ferus Gallery. It was where the rain was coming through there, and there was a big plastic thing outside, and it was supposed to be raining. And me, I just walked in there and looking at him, said, my thought is, so what? I see some of this piles of shit that they'll pile up there like that. Yeah, well, it was... Okay, I can see things being personal because I am very, very... Things mean a lot to me, whether in the Lost Frontier and that was my army shirt, or that was this certain, or that was the hair of John who died here, who was in the Indians. So all those things mean something to me, and that's what I see lacking in a lot of art today, in a sense of... And that's why things can be manufactured so easy, and everything becomes digital now, you know. I see people using imagery in digital, a lot of digital stuff, more like a collage of things, you know. I certainly see that. I see it in cartoony kind of things, but usually I have, there's something to be cartoony, it has to have something else there too, because I've always been a painter. So I'm much aware of spatial differences and light and how shapes react to each other and all this stuff. So, and I come from that. It's kind of like somebody coming from I don't know, jazz or anything like that, knowing what this, you know, how this is working, you know, and.
But does the best work, the work you enjoy of other artists, affect you personally, or is it about them? Is it about you as a viewer? I mean, what when you say you walked out of the Rauschenberg because you said so, what were the shows that?
Rauschenberg affected me. It's way early. When I first started doing those paintings, I was in art school. Rauschenberg had already come out with this stuff, you know, and which was, I mean. There was a combination of that in there, in the sense like, and even Jasper Johns, the target thing with the three heads and that stuff. I mean, those all affected my work. I can see it in the work. I can see it in the construction of it, you know. But mine was something else. Mine leaned more toward where de Kooning left off in his Parkway series, where abstract form started to look and feel like something perhaps religious, perhaps very humorous, or perhaps... So you started seeing these other feelings within those shapes. The one, Merritt Parkway, and I remember my first thought is I'm looking at this long... And Emerson Wilfer, he was affected by that thing with the big white thing that came and Richards Rubin was my teacher there. So all these people were affected by this particular painting and the black and white things of de Kooning. It was sort of a combination of that sort of thing. I didn't get back into somebody like Dolly and stuff until back up in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
You see, I was still into that art thing, and Picasso. So it was kind of like. But I always had to anthropomorphize anything. If you look at that thing in the retrospective catalog that just says Dachau,
yeah.
If you look at it and the whole shape of the thing that's happening, it reads that way. It reads like it is something like that, and something, you know.
But it started off as an abstraction, as just as a.
I didn't see the difference. See, to me, my feeling when somebody says abstraction, it's kind of a funny word sometimes, you know, because I don't see. when I look at, and that's why de Kooning was one of the best in the sense of how he took those two things together. Pollock did it early on, but didn't do it as well. Where you would see in all those things that appear to be abstract, you see, okay, yes, there's Donald Duck's face. There's all these different things all over the place. So what I'm saying, he always dealt in things like that, where the other ones didn't.
I'm afraid of being myself. Afraid of being myself. Afraid of being myself. Why I hardly ever talk on the telephone. I just sit by myself all alone. Oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Yeah. What am I gonna do?
You know why I did it?
Why?
Because it really felt good. I think that's why people eat sugar. That's why people do all kinds of things, because it's really good. You know, you give a horse sugar or salt, and good. And if you give some of these animals probably a lot of just that, they would probably like it and go for that more than the other food, right? So we're not much different,
So I'm trying to get perfect on everything. The rubber band play. So I'm trying to get perfect on everything.